Educated and Broke
is a weekly entertainment podcast
where we mix hip hop,
headlines, and all things ATL
into the success of Black millennials
in the Black culture.
All right, y'all. We are back here on Black Educated and Broke. Still having a few sound issues with producers, from the back, but that sign language says you got it down pat.
Randy, tell me you are getting Tootsie Pop commercial vibes when she do that.
I just gotta say that.
Yeah, it was like 1, 2,
3.
3. It takes 3.
Don't do Zay for the day like that, child. But yes, guys, so before we took the break, we were getting excited. I was like, we got Terayle Hill in the building. Shanay's here.
Yeah.
Like, it's about to go in. So I'm just going to pass the mic to my sweet Virgo sister, Shanay, and she's going to do her thing because it's what she does. Go ahead.
Right, he been in all the movies, everything. All the series.
Right. So if you're tuning in as a new listener, welcome. And if you're hearing and seeing me, that can only mean we are behind the scenes, where I like to highlight Black filmmakers and filmmakers of color on the rise and on their grind that you should have your eye on and definitely have their projects on your watch list. As my girl Randi said, we are joined by Terayle Hill, actor, producer, fire musician, entrepreneur. He was born in LA, raised in Moreno Valley, California. Terayle is a star that burns bright and humbly. A graduate of Clark Atlanta University, Terayle has been on a steady rise, working as an actor for shows and movies like Cobra Kai, Tyler Perry's Acrimony, Step Up High Water, Superfly, Love Simon, Chicago PD. I could probably name some more, but just know he be working.
I thought I saw him on Chicago PD. Okay, thank you for saying that. I thought I was scripted. Okay.
Right. That credit list runs long. So welcome, Terayle Hill.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I feel so. That was an amazing introduction. Thank you, Shanay. Appreciate that. Happy to be here, y'all. What's going on?
Yes, we are happy to have you. And for just a quick little fun fact before we kind of dive into everything, Terayle was actually my director and executive producer for my first produced short film, Novella, back in 2018.
Yeah.
So that was like a little, kind of when we kind of came together. We worked together before on Cream and Coffee, but I was still like a PA and just newbie in the shadows. But in 2018, you helped me step confidently into that role, really helped me out through that. So
the novella was excellent. Me and Mike got to come to the screening. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, Shanay, you killed it for your first time, especially. You did your thing. The whole tribe came together, made it happen. I love it, man. I love independent film work. Honestly, a little bit more than everything else. Like, this is low-key, like, I'll do this for the rest of my life for sure. But
okay, I'm gonna have to circle back on that because that is a little bit of what I might ask later.
But can I just ask a quick question? Because I saw the flag in the back, and I wanted to know, what nationality, or does that mean something? Or
it's actually the Pan-Africanism flag.
All right.
It's more of a representative flag. It's not necessarily a location. Well, I mean, at the same time, the colors are very familiar. Obviously, the Pan-African flag, at least. Yeah, when I got it was from an NAACP program in college. So that's where it came from,
That's right, Randy. The red for the blood, the black for the people, and the green for the land.
Money. Oh, the land. Okay.
The money.
Lord have mercy.
I'm kidding. Go ahead today. Sorry.
No, not a problem. All right, Terayle, tell us about your journey as a filmmaker. I'm very interested to hear and for you to share with people kind of your ascension, but as well as why you chose to go to Atlanta when you were living very close. Moreno Valley is like an hour and some change from LA, from really what is, especially then, the mecca of TV and entertainment. So talk to us about your journey and where you've been so far.
So here's the true story, right?
Ooh, exclusive.
When I went to Clark Atlanta, I went because I was going to study African-American studies. But when I got there, I learned that it was a master's program or a graduate program major only. So I knew I was interested in film. I had never had a desire of being an actor yet. It was literally, I knew I loved to write. And I knew I wanted to direct anyway. That was a big part of why I wanted to get my African-American studies degree, because I wanted to do documentaries and present them to my students, if that makes sense. But essentially, life, like, and I ended up in the mass media arts department. I had never acted before, but I was already making short films back home. So one day, one of the students on campus, shout out Tina Shakia, she had been doing this series called College Boyfriends. And it was like this reality kind of TV show where it's like about relationships in the AUC, but we were playing men in relationships with women in the AUC. And we all had our own different storylines. So like I was Terayle, but I was really Demarie Watkins. And that was like my first time acting in my entire life, for real. And I mean, 30 episodes later, I had loved it. Like, I think it just became one of those natural things for me. But I was also in school learning how to direct too. So by senior year, I had my first agent, but I hadn't booked my first TV show yet. I'd been auditioning for about 2 years at that point, because once College Boyfriends kind of solidified that I was interested in it, I knew that, all right, well, in order to go to the next step, you got to ask questions. And I figured out how to get the things I needed to get in order to start being submitted for TV shows. And about a month before graduation, I booked my first TV show, primetime TV show, The Quad. And we shot that on campus, ironically enough. Like, it was like going to class and then going to set. So it was cool. And when I rapped, it didn't make sense to leave. I felt like my checks from The Quad was in the mailbox when I graduated, and it was almost like a confirmation from God that whether or not that's going to be what it's going to be for the rest of my life, it was something that was necessary to get me to wherever I need to be next, if that makes sense. So I just stayed consistent and obedient to that. And since I was already interested in making movies, it was something I never stopped doing. I have scripts from high school that I have saved on old drives back in high school. So the interest to write has always been there. It's just I went to school and learned the business side of it. I still have never taken an acting class before. I just have done it a lot to where I feel like, by the grace of God, I haven't needed to get training to do the things I've booked. But I totally got educated on the behind the scenes. I learned how to produce. I learned how to be a PA. We did shows on campus. So I was kind of sold that it was going to be my life. I just wanted to figure out how I was going to finesse it. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it started. That's the whole kind of like, well, that's a big portion of what it is.
What it is, right? Because the journey is so larger. I didn't know that about going to school for African studies beforehand. And can we watch College Boyfriends online? Is that because it's always the first ones people try and hide?
No, I mean, here's the reality. It's not on my resume no more, but but I still got mad love for the show. It is on YouTube. Some of these episodes I done looked and got 100,000. Like, to be honest, I think when you performing for HBCUs every Wednesday, you got to learn to have thick skin. So when you make it through College Boyfriends, Black Twitter, 2012 to 2016, like,
yes, brutal times.
I remember that. College
I was
Boyfriends
getting teased for free.
He said, would you say Black Twitter? That rise of Black Twitter, what was
right,
that, like
especially
2013, 2014?
Yeah.
But that was like the training ground. I felt like that's, I would hate to equate it to hip hop, but when you cipher and you in a room full of people, nobody got to know who you are. You let the work speak for itself. And, if there's potential there, it grows as long as you're willing to give that potential whatever it needs. You got to like nurture that potential in order for it to be something. But by the grace of God, it did turn into something. So, we're here now.
Right. And see, I think your path is slightly different than some. Like you said, you haven't taken acting classes. You weren't going to school to do that, but it just aligned and it worked for you. But for those who are maybe on the more traditional path to being an actor and going to an HBCU and just kind of rising through those ranks, what advice would you give them to kind of stay consistent and they could look to you as someone's like, I want to be in his position one day? What advice would you give them?
If you're a young student at a HBCU, 9 times out of 10, you owe a lot of money in loans, because that's the statistics right now. I think when you spend that much money, you have a unique opportunity to live life or live life as a student. And the best thing I think I could have done was spent as much time trying to make the money work for me. Like, I didn't spend a whole lot of time going out. When I found an interest, I feel like I tried to spend as much time that wasn't delegated to me. I mean, life is really about time. You know what I'm saying? 8 hours we sleep, 8 hours at work, 8 hours we at home, right? Well, if you're on college campus, you at a dorm, 24 hours of your life, you at school. But with those hours that you have in the day, if you're smart about how you use them joints, you can actually teach yourself a lot of stuff. And you can really sharpen a lot of crafts with that time. So just being disciplined, I think, is the number one thing a college student would have to develop. You know, get it out your system at the same time, because you go to college for. But had it not been for people around me that made me feel accountable to be disciplined, I don't think I would have gotten this far, because I feel like in the same breath, I haven't trained, but I've put in a lot of hours. You know what I mean? And you know, I love it. I'll put in more hours tomorrow when I wake up, because that's what I want to do. But in the same breath, I've been putting in hours of trying to learn and become better in the best of my ability since college. So as long as you don't spend all that money and stay the same at the end, you know what I mean? If you're going to owe all these loans, use the resources, talk to the teachers. A lot of them have been in the film, like Dr. Eichelberger was one of the film professors, but he taught Spike. You know what I mean? It was so dope to sit in his classroom, and then like in between classes, I would be in his office talking to him. He's a levy of knowledge. He has all these posters around his room. You know, people asking how to get auditions. If you're gonna ask anybody, ask him. Don't ask me. You know what I mean? So like, you gotta know how to work your HBCU. Your HBCU is full of people who—
That's what's up. Using them resources you already paid for.
Spend more time doing that. That's the only advice I would have to somebody. Just use your time as wisely as possible. Still, go out, have a good time, but that clock is gonna tick, and you are in control for the most part when you're in college of your hours when you're not in class. You literally can just go to your dorm and figure out a schedule and try to stick to it. Try to stay as close to your spiritual regimen as possible. Meditate. You know what I mean? That's when I first started to do it in college. I realized that thing that people have been telling me was quiet time was actually really meditation. So when I would wake up in the morning, I would try to just sit quietly. And it wasn't until I started researching the benefits of meditation that I realized I've been doing some kind of broken version of it my entire life. But even that broken version of meditation is still productive if you're using that time to rationalize what your day looks like and just setting up a plan. You can't get nowhere without a plan. You know what I'm saying? Just having a vision and trying to get through it like that. I can go on for hours too. I'm my bad. Like, like pat me on the shoulder, ask me.
No, honestly, I think you're one of the most disciplined and productive. That was one of my questions, was what is like your productivity hacks? But I think you said a lot just in that, and that advice you would give people on how you can kind of lay a better foundation so you can keep that momentum, keep going. But yeah, your discipline and your productivity is you and Nakia, like bar none, like y'all got it down. But I think that's what we as people who are always trying to strive to do better can look to, is those examples that you gave, because really you're successful for a reason. A lot of that has to do with how you start your day, as we've discussed, you know, how you end your day and that time in between.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I can go back into detail about it because I think there's one more thing I can say real quick, but I won't.
Well, you know what? Look, we're going to tease that, Terayle. That's what we call a teaser in radio, honey. We're going to tease that. Terayle here, guys. We're sitting here with actor. I just like just amazing brother, because just hearing him talk, I just didn't even know there were so many layers and levels. So guys, he got a lot more he got to drop. You just heard that. You want to hear it, don't you? We do too. So you got to come back and join us right here on Black Educated and Broke.
What's going on? This is Terayle Hill, and I stay listening to the Black Educated and Broke podcast.
All right, guys, we're back here on Black Educated and Broke, sitting down with Terayle Hill, and Maya thinks she's slick, trying to ask all these little subtle questions off air. About saying that she thought he was antisocial, talking about he can produce, and then we found out she in a skit. Terayle was gonna give us all that information. She tried to hush him up. So go ahead, T.
I was also in College Boyfriends too. Like I had like a little, you know.
You definitely did make an appearance. I remember that.
Yeah. Which episode?
I won't air out like that, but I will show y'all when we finish up.
No.
Should have said nothing, Maya.
I thought we was friends, T. Like I really.
You're good.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
But you were sharing with us before we went on break. You had one more kind of productivity discipline gem you wanted to share with us. We were listening. We were eager.
On our toes, waiting.
Okay, real quick, and I'll make it quick. And this is more of a reference. Whenever y'all can, if y'all really want to kind of figure out the best way to move on the inside, there's this man who goes by the name of Pastor Rick, who speaks about shape. If you guys get a chance, just Google that, type in shape, and just look at what the definition is in the breakdown, and that'll give context to the explanation I was going to give. Just kind of walking in your shape, and shape is like an acronym, and it breaks down you as a spiritual being that was sent here from God. So, you know, it kind of ties things together. It's a good excerpt, and it's really easy to digest. Just understand who you are inside and out, and you'll probably figure out what you're supposed to do. Just like that.
Maya had also mentioned off air how you are a very talented editor. He edited Novella. I think you edited it. You helped with the score. I know I'm missing something else. You were an EP director.
I worked on it with everybody else. You know what I'm saying? I worked on it with everybody else. It was fun.
But you put your hand on it. You just extra blessed it, which I think is what's so needed as independent filmmakers, is having that passion and having that drive. And I really appreciate, as you continue to rise, that you still take time out to work independently and to help your fellow independent filmmakers. I believe you were just working on another independent film like a week, 2 weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago now.
We did a horror film 2 weeks ago, and we're about to do a spoken word show this weekend. So
right, yes, yeah.
Can we get details on the horror? Because that's my genre.
Right.
I think I don't know if I don't have all the details, but from what I understand, it's supposed to come out in Halloween. So, you know, my page, I'll definitely share it. I'll definitely send it to y'all. That's nothing.
But I need that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I was associate producer. I was moving around and helping, but I don't know the editing schedule. But I mean, yeah, I think it's coming out Halloween, so we good.
Yeah. We'll keep you posted, Q, on that.
Thank you.
As we know, or as we've heard, you're moving up there in ranks, you're getting in a lot of different sets and things like that. What has been, as you continue to kind of move into like the big leagues and mainstream acting and being around all of these powerful people and people that a lot of people want to be in rooms with, what's your takeaway from that? And as you continue to kind of just move along, what is your takeaway, and kind of what is that perspective, having worked on the independent scene and kind of being more mainstream now? Because a lot of the times people don't even want to do independent. They want to hop right into mainstream and get that. But there's pros and cons to both. So as someone who's still navigating into mainstream, I would love to hear your takeaway and kind of what you've learned from being in those spaces.
I learned that, like I mentioned, I'm not trained. The reality is I just love doing it so much that I didn't care if I wasn't good. And I think for the world of filmmaking specifically, if you don't love it, you probably won't add as much to it if it's not so. There's so many things you can do in film. You got wardrobe, you got art department, you got audio sound, there's so many things, and a lot of them are well paying too, especially certification is real easy. But the reality is, if you don't love what you're doing, or if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, which is very common in this industry, you probably will spend more time being frustrated about why things aren't coming together. And that's been the biggest takeaway from working on the biggest sets and the littlest sets. I've noticed that there are actors that are around and are always going to be around, and you can always tell the way they speak to everybody on set, whether it's the scene partner, the director, or the PA, or somebody who just walking by. They're all on the same equal playing field, and they'll have longevity because they love coming to work. That's really what that is. They love what they do. So when they come to set, they don't view it as being such and such. They view it as we're all coming together. When this movie's finished, all of our names gonna be in the same title scroll. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all got a job to do, so let's get this thing home. And as long as you develop a love for what you do in any craft, specifically for this, it's not going to be hard to elevate. Ask the right questions when you feel moved to ask a question. You know what I'm saying? And just go hard. Just go hard.
Okay, we're going to segue just a little bit, because you are now, I think you have been, but you are now more publicly a musician. You done dropped some music, a single.
Got them bars, wait.
Right. We might just ask you to just freestyle real quick. And I'm just
don't.
Real quick.
No,
Oh, he was ready. He was ready.
Terayle, yo, listen, we do that. We got our Slap It or Dap It segment where people do perform their music and we ask in a freestyle on the spot. So I'm just saying, if you want to like,
I'll give you something quick. It's not gonna be long. I'm gonna start off the first few bars quoting Tupac, but I'll keep it quick. That's cool.
Thank you.
A good start.
Yeah. I wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? I'm tired of being poor, even worse. I'm black, my stomach hurts, so I'm looking for a purse to snatch. Cops give a damn about a need, bro. Pull the trigger, kill a nigga, he's a heat, bro. 22 years later, we still singing it. It's still relevant. Hey, yo, believe me when I tell you that your life matter more than you know. Just keep believing it's gonna resonate the more that you grow. Whether you heavyweight or featherweight, keep fighting for more. Obama guaranteed to change, so it's coming for sure, I promise. Blinds open, the birds chirping, the sun shining. Tony Hawk with the revolution, I love grinding. In high school, I was definition, I love rhyming. And now my name is my name. But yo, the irony is I'm actually thankful to my mother because she spelled it different. It gave me leverage to make it different and make a difference. I'm on a mission for more. Moreno Valley ain't the only valley I'm gonna explore. Trying to make it to a better life. A life of money accessible and I spend it right. With creativity flowing and never paralyzed. With peace and harmony trending and always televised. Where everybody know my name and they spell it right.
Hey, all right.
All right, T. All right.
All right, let's play Slap It or Dap It. Ron.
Right.
Something positive. You know what I'm saying? God is good lately. You know what I'm saying? Something positive.
You actually had some content there, young man. I'm gonna go ahead and slap that.
There we go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
But Web Street, your new single, what kind of inspired you to shift gears, especially in an industry that always tries to box you into one particular role? Why now? Why music? Tell us about that.
Not wanting to be boxed in, realizing I was boxing myself in the whole time as well. Mm-hmm. And of course, my brother's passing. I think all of those things were coming together and hitting me in a way to where I felt like the worst thing I could do is leave this earth without saying everything I thought I was supposed to say while I had the opportunity to say it. And there's a certain level of survivor's remorse I feel with me being the one that got to stay when he was, in my opinion, far more talented, way more driven, way harder worker, way more intelligent, 4.6 GPA, opera singer. Like I ain't never met nobody like this in my life. So to watch him go, I think it made me feel more accountable to my time. I understand how fragile life is, especially when I know for a fact, especially since he was 26, I'm 26 now, he was gonna make it. So I would rather die in pursuit than you know, die resting. And what am I resting for? You know what I'm saying? You know, I got stuff I'm supposed to do. So you're supposed to use all the tools on your tool belt. Part of my shape, you know what I'm saying? So if I can use it, I'm gonna use it.
Preach. All right, what is next for you? What's coming up that you can share?
Of course, I can share a few things.
Yes, what's next?
I can't share a lot of, well, I can say this. I have 5 episodes on House of Pain that's about to air. They start, the first one is the day after election. I'm playing China's character's boyfriend this season, so it'll be fun.
All right.
And then there's a project I did for Snapchat that's coming out. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk for that, but that's also November, as well as a Christmas movie for BET, which is also November. And there's this really cool project I got to do, this Judas and the Black Messiah, the Black Panther Party project.
Yo, we waiting on that. We already talked about that. We waiting on that.
Yeah, I think it comes out top of next year. So if I'm not mistaken, those are the next 4 things that's coming out by the grace of God. So I have some things I'm preparing for, but for now, that's what's next.
Oh, that's dope. We didn't even know you was gonna be a part of that, but as soon as I saw it, I sent it to the team. Like, yo, they doing a movie on Fred Hampton. I gotta see it. I gotta see what that's dope.
The coolest part, I met Fred Hampton Jr. That was a moment. I got to actually talk to some Panthers actors.
That's awesome.
Today. It was a great moment.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Super excited.
I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you.
And where can the people find you? In the bars, you say you spell your name differently. I know it, we know it, but let the people know where they can find you, where they connect with you online.
Yeah, of course. At Terayle, TERAYLE _. That's it. I know it's spelled weird. I spelled it again. TERAYLE _. That's why
I just followed you, Terayle.
I'm a
He
follow
looks different without the facial hair, don't he?
I know, like,
yeah.
All right, that must be for a role, maybe.
It must be for a new project, you know. Look younger off a House of Pain.
I don't know what y'all talk about. God is good. God is good.
All the time, all the time. Thank
time.
you so much for being gracious with your time and joining us today. I hope that we can have you back for another Slap It or Dap It officially on your music tip, because your music is very good. Again, just thank you for those gems. As always, like I always tell you, it's always a pleasure talking with you. You really inspire the masses, and I truly believe you are here to continue to do amazing things and to motivate so many people to live in their excellence, because you live in your excellence and you live in your truth so boldly. So we appreciate you.
Hey, before we go, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Ryan don't ever have a question.
Y'all leave him alone.
So
everything is over. Like,
so listening to you seemed like you got a lot of knowledge. And I tell Shanay this all the time. I want to be in a movie as a drug dealer, and you was in the Snow Patrol.
Right.
So what advice? Advice can you give a young brother?
Young brother.
Young, whoa,
y'all like that, y'all. Don't do that like that.
Why you gonna play him like that?
All day, Terayle. You gonna have to listen to the show. You gonna hear how he tried my life. But go ahead.
No, he got this gray patch in his beard talking about
somebody young. Whoa.
Nah, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't have no advice for you, big homie. I do know this. There's only a couple ways this game go. I went out. I don't think it's worth it.
And that wasn't your fault, man. You kind of was an innocent bystander. You shouldn't have got hit.
I've been saying that for the longest.
You shouldn't have got hit, bro.
Forgot about it.
Me.
You shouldn't have got hit. That was for somebody else.
That's crazy. I'm like, dang, bro. I told him it's time to go.
Right. Yeah, bro. That wasn't your bullet. That was his.
It's all good, bro. It happens.
Ron, I appreciate that each and every time, though, you make sure to ask that, because in that way you are networking. You are being remembered by someone, hopefully one day, who is in need of that character. I have not needed it, but just know that
Terayle, y'all better keep him in your mind, because he want to play this character. Okay?
I do. I'm a producer. That's what I do. I file it away. I just haven't had the character yet.
Like real soon.
Hey man, we had the legendary Snow Patrol on here, man. I had to get that one out.
I'll be walking the Kroger sometimes, and I'll be hearing Snow Patrol.
Hey, how did you get that role, man? How did that come about?
God, I just auditioned for it, and it was the right place, right time type of situation. I think I was just available in the moment, because I was also in the process of shooting a different project at the same time. So I was coming off of that one, and I was fizzling into this one, and the way the schedules kind of linked up, that's how I know it was like, okay, Monday I'm here, Tuesday I'm here, Wednesday I'm here, Thursday I'm here, and it didn't conflict. So apparently God wanted me to be a part of that project, because I don't think anybody knows how that happened, because it usually don't happen like that. Shooting 2 projects, that's hey, I know I didn't work that schedule out, but I'm glad it worked out. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad it worked out.
Well, we are too, Terayle. We've enjoyed this interview. And for those listening, we're not quite done with him yet, because as you know, we have our guests do our segment "And the Church Said." Because, you know, we like to leave something positive, even though he's been saying dropping bars, saying positive things all night. But I'm sure we got a whole lot more. So, guys, we're going to take our final break, and we'll be right back with Terayle here on Black, Educated, and Broke.
Okay. What's the next segment like?
Black Educated and Broke is a weekly entertainment podcast where we mix hip-hop headlines and all things ATL into the success of Black millennials and Black culture.
To find a moment of stillness as much as possible. Reason being, I don't think God competes with noise. A big part of developing a plan for yourself has a lot to do with being able to hear the voice of God and understanding some clarity. It's easy to fall off path when you have a subpar knowledge of self. So try to find some time for yourself. Try to find some time with God. Make a plan. Make it happen.
And the church said,
Amen.